All things unexplained.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed, of course, I'm a historian, so I kind of dig into stuff and research, and there is a unusually high number of missile launch and testing sites within a 5 hour or less radius from Skinwalker Ranch. Do you believe that that has anything to do with possibly the radiation levels at the ranch?
The strange thing about the radiation here at the ranch is that if we just have natural radiation that's here in the environment, if it's something associated with the land, we don't expect to see transients. We don't expect to see spikes and then the disappearance. So you do get a sense that there's a technological signature there. There's something modulating the measured radiation. Um, but whether that has anything to do with missile launches, your guess is as good as mine. I don't find any correlations to missile launches. In fact, I'm not aware. I don't know that I've seen any of those from the perspective of the ranch.
Well, I just know I've looked, I've did some research. Takoi Rocket Test Range, the Utah Launch Complex, the Utah Test and Training Range, and Wendover Field are within 5 hours or less from the Skinwalker Ranch. And I just thought that is a high amount of places that the military has in that particular area. I just, maybe possibly they're doing some testing. They're top secret things.
I know that we've had discussions. Another thing is they I heard the number that they had tested over 1,000 atomic bombs down there at the test range in Nevada. And if you look at the jet stream and the airflows from the downwind of where that was at, the ranch is right in the path of that. And we had that discussion. I remember right at the very beginning, and that's one of the reasons why we brought Qualtech out from Idaho and did a very thorough analysis and scan of the ranch. We got a clean bill of health from them. They didn't pick up anything that was concerning or out of the ordinary. So, based on the history of some of that activity that occurred, we did bring out experts to make sure that that wasn't occurring.
So that's it's originating from some basically unknown location. Is that what you think? Not really. We can't pinpoint exactly what's going on. I think that's super interesting though that you've had those experts come out and they weren't able to identify exactly what's going on. I think it's pretty amazing.
So I wonder too, there was one episode where I think Dr. Travis Taylor had you guys opened something and there was a high level of radiation. He actually had some blisters on his skin, and then later that section was tested and the radiation levels weren't very high there anymore. Is that normal? I don't know enough about radiation. Would that be something normal that it would go away, or have you seen other instances of that on the ranch?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, if we have radioactive isotopes in the environment, we don't expect to see sudden transient spikes. We expect to see a level and to just see it localized and remain more or less constant. Um, and so it is that sudden change that makes us suspicious that this is a technological signature or something else. Maybe some event is taking place that is accompanied by a burst of radiation. And you got it right. Travis was examined medically, and as he has shared, the diagnosis was that he had been exposed to what we call ionizing radiation, which is dangerous for our tissues. And then we go back to those locations and we measure nothing elevated over the normal background readings. So indeed, what is responsible for that? That's not natural.
Well, and if it wasn't for those physical symptoms, I mean, we've had many conversations that if it wasn't for those accompanying physical symptoms that he experienced, along with the medical diagnosis by a third party doctor, uh, we would probably be more inclined to think that it's something electromagnetic or some electromagnetic interference that's actually spoofing the device to make it think that it's getting those readings, right? So,
Yes, yes. Tom raises a very important point here, and that is we know that even though we may be holding an instrument in our hands that is designed to measure, say, gamma rays, it's designed to detect a certain type of radiation. There's also the possibility of something that Thomas has alluded to called EMI, or electromagnetic interference, that can spoof or cause a device to register gamma hits when in fact it is just excitation from some RF source. So, yeah, you nailed it, Tom. It's interesting. I think it bears mentioning. I hope this doesn't get me in any hot water, but I want to share something about. I want to share something else that isn't widely known, and that is that when that event happened with Dr. Taylor, uh, a lot of the production equipment was affected. Tom's nodding, so you're in on it, Tom. I don't want to say too much, but what I'll tell you is that the production equipment, meaning cameras and audio and so forth, were also affected at the same time by whatever that event was.
well, Eric, I'll just expound on that a little bit more for the audience. And that, if I remember correctly, it was to the point that the production cameras were not working, and the scene that you're watching on television of that unfolding was actually one of the producers had the presence of mind to grab his iPhone and record it with the iPhone. So the footage that you're seeing on TV wasn't gotten by the production cameras. That was filmed on an iPhone because the production cameras had all been taken offline by whatever it was.
All things unexplained.